Hello, MCU fans! Today we're going to talk about all the latest updates on Marvel television because, oh my word, Brad Winderbaum has been out there sharing so much good information. We'll talk about how it affects the Phase 6 slate and even Phase 7 and beyond. So, lots to discuss. Let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have a February contest running all month long. If you subscribe or leave a comment, you could win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And we have a membership option with lots of cool perks, so you might check it out in case you're interested. Also, I like to give an occasional shout out to the folks that leave super thanks. I don't get a lot of them, but I really appreciate the ones I get. And in fact, the earlier Craig one was on the Slate update that I did a couple months ago, so it was really appropriate to mention it here. So thank you both. So remember, Marvel has several divisions now: studios, television, animation, Marvel Spotlights, even Marvel Special Presentations. So lots of things going on at Marvel. So I'm going to start by just mentioning that Phase 5 is almost coming to an end. Can you believe that? This is all that's left in the Phase 5 slate for 2025. And in fact, the top 3 entries have already come out. So we only have Daredevil Born Again, Thunderbolts, and Ironheart, and then Phase 5 is done. Also, as usual, anything with a yellow coloring will be a TV show, red will be a movie, and blue will be a Sony movie. Okay, so now let's talk about the Phase 6 slate. So all of these entries have been locked in by Marvel. The only question is, when in December does Wonder Man come out? But otherwise, all of these are coming out for certain on these dates. We also, of course, know Avengers Doomsday is coming out on May 1st, and I do have a couple quick updates on that. I've been holding off on this update until I was doing a bigger slate update, but yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch basically said, hey, don't believe anything I ever say, because remember, he said he's not going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Well, then he turned around and said, I got it wrong. I am in the next one. So we're going to talk about the impact of that on the slate in just a minute. But yeah, Benedict changed his mind, and seemingly so did Charlie Cox. So he's now come out and explained that other than Daredevil Season 2, I have no knowledge of any other commitments at all. So why is he saying that? Well, because his trainer did this Instagram post and originally said Charlie is currently training for a new Avengers role. So, of course, everybody was assuming, oh, he's going to be in Doomsday. He's going to be in Secret Wars. Well, so obviously the post has been updated to remove the word Avengers, and Charlie Cox has all but confirmed that he's not in Doomsday, probably not even in Secret Wars. Kind of a bummer, but honestly, I didn't expect him in those movies anyway. All right, so our next update is to Spider-Man 4. Small update, but they've now told us it's been pushed back a week. So it was July 24th it was going to come out. Now it's been pushed back to July 31st. And the main reason seems to be because Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, which is looking like a really amazing movie, and also happens to star Tom Holland, that hits theaters July 17th. So I think they wanted to move it back a week so that some of the premium screens that the Odyssey was using will be freed up for Spider-Man 4. So, all right, we've updated that now to July 31st of 2026. So briefly, some of these other things. I'm not giving up on Blade, even though we know it ain't coming out February 13th of 2026, but Marvel has never officially confirmed that. And in fact, they haven't freed up the February 13th, 2026 date. It's still on their slate as a movie. We just don't know what that movie is. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Daredevil Born Again, my guess is we're going to get Season 2 around the same time we're getting Season 1. Marvel's wanting to move to an annual release schedule, so I'm going to guess March of 2026. I have no idea when we're going to get X-Men 97 Season 2. I mean, we know it's not in 2025, so I'm putting it here in the fall of 2026. I really hope we get it sooner than that, but that's where I'm putting it for now. All right, so let's talk about this November 6, 2026 date. That is a movie slot that Marvel has reserved, and I put in Doctor Strange 3 for it because remember, Benedict Cumberbatch said he wasn't going to be in Avengers Doomsday, so it made sense that we had to catch up with him in his third movie. Now, with him being in Doomsday, I don't know what's going to go here. I'm still going to keep Doctor Strange 3 because I think there's a lot to tell about his story, but let me know if you think something else should go in this movie slot. And of course, we're going to get Secret Wars May 7th of 2027. All right, the two things that I haven't discussed are Vision Quest and Champions. So I want to go now to the updates on Marvel Television so you can see why I think these are the two entries we're going to get in 2026 and 2027. So, lots of news here. So we'll start with the fact that Deadline reported that Marvel pauses development on Nova, Strange Academy, and Terror Incorporated TV series. All right, so let's start by talking about Nova. I'm really surprised on this one because Brad Winderbaum himself had been really talking up the series, but my guess is they just don't have it ready yet. Maybe it's too expensive for a TV show, maybe it'll even end up being a movie, but at least for now, it's being put on hold. Now, Strange Academy is one that we heard rumored but never confirmed by Marvel, so this kind of confirms they were thinking about it, but it's also on hold. And then we have Terror Incorporated. I mean, what on earth, right? What is this? No one had heard about this. Not even the supposed insiders had been talking about this. So it is a comic. Notice down in the lower left-hand corner, explicit content. So obviously, this would have been a TVMA show. So the simplest explanation of this character is he absorbs the attributes of others through their dismembered limbs. So he's like killing people and using their arm or their leg or whatever. I mean, I don't know why on earth they were making a series about this, but maybe he was going to end up being a member of the Midnight Suns. Anyway, all of these are on hold. So a little more information on the decision to put these on hold. We're told the decision is reflective of a new model for producing television that's emerged at Marvel in recent years. Originally, Marvel approached series development much the same way it handled features. A slate was announced, and what was teased was more or less what we got. But a couple of years ago, senior leadership decided to retool the development process as they were also revamping their new Daredevil series, Born Again. And Brad Winderbaum himself explained it by saying, we're developing more than we make now. So we actually have a few different things brewing that we might see through to at least a pilot script to see if we want to make it. There's lots of opportunity out there. It's hard to choose favorites. We're really being careful about what we choose to do next. So I think this is good news. I mean, it's a bummer on Nova in particular, but I think it's smart that Marvel is taking their time and making sure they have a show ready to go before they just jump right in. Okay, so we also learned something else. Moon Knight Season 2 is not happening. So, while speaking exclusively with Comic Book about the launch of Daredevil Born Again next month, Marvel Television head Brad Winderbaum explained that the Marvel Cinematic Universe absolutely has plans for Moon Knight. They just likely won't come in the form of another TV season. Winderbaum explained that, so I think Marvel Television has happened in waves. I think Moon Knight happened in a wave of shows that were going to establish characters that would tie into the future. In fact, remember, Moon Knight came out at the same time as Miss Marvel, as She-Hulk, etc. So there was a bunch of new characters being thrown out there. So Winderbaum continued, moving forward, our priorities have shifted. We're making shows that can exist as annual releases, more like television. I would love to see a Moon Knight Season 2, but there are plans for Moon Knight down the road. All right, so we're not getting Moon Knight Season 2, and notice how he talks about annual releases. That's why I think Daredevil Born Again Season 2 will probably be in the March timeframe. Okay, we also learned the Okoye series isn't happening. So in this interview about Daredevil Born Again, everybody keeps hitting him up with stuff during these interviews. He was asked, I do have a question about some other series. I want to know what's going on with Okoye. Are we getting an Okoye series? Like, what's going on? Poor Brad. Brad's like, okay, I love Okoye. I think fans of Okoye are going to be excited to see her come back, but I don't think it's going to be a television show. I can't say where or when, but there's a lot to look forward to. So I think the reason they were asking him about this is this was one of the rumored projects, some type of live-action Wakanda-related series. So many people guessed it would focus around Okoye. Well, it sounds like that's not happening. So this seems like a lot of bad news, right? But we do get some good news from Brad. So in a conversation with Entertainment Weekly, we asked Winderbaum how Marvel thinks about limited series versus linear series, using Agatha All Along running for Emmys in the main comedy category as a reference. So Brad says, I think it's a linear series potential. A show like Agatha to me is concept-based. Yes, a second season for sure is something we would want to do, but let's not rush it. Let's get the right idea and then make it. Well, that's encouraging because Agatha All Along ended up being a fantastic show. If they're willing to do a part 2, I'm all for it, as long as they have the right script for it. Also, it was confirmed that at the very least we're getting Vision Quest, working title, which will pick up the WandaVision storyline from Agatha All Along in a series centered on Paul Bettany's White Vision. So, okay, that seems to be a confirmation that that show really is happening and is being worked on as we speak. And Winderbaum also points to Hawkeye. He says Hawkeye's another one that feels like you can make a second season of that show because it's Christmas, it's Clint and Kate. You can kind of revisit it whenever, and we're looking for opportunities to do that. But as we develop things in the future, I think they're going to be designed for multiple seasons, have more of a pattern, and be able to be released annually. I love that. I really love that. I mean, it's nice to think that we may be getting multiple seasons of shows rather than these one-and-dones, and that they may even be on an annual basis. Perfect. That's great information. All right, now I'm going to talk briefly about some rumored titles. I promise there are no spoilers for series. These are just simply ideas that may or may not happen in the future. So we're going to look at some things that Jeff Schneider is saying may or may not be coming to Disney+. Again, I want to stress, there's no spoilers here. These are just potential series. So he starts out by saying, now that Marvel is wrapping up Daredevil Born Again, finishing post-production on Wonder Man, which we know we're getting that this year, They're also starting up on the Vision series. So there's more confirmation this Vision series is definitely coming. Then Schneider mentioned that Marvel is believed to still be developing Blonde Phantom with Scarlett Johansson. So this is one of those rumored shows that we keep hearing little bits and pieces about. It doesn't seem like she's going to be starring in the show, but she may just be helping executive produce it. Beyond that, we don't know much more about it. Also, he said, Marvel is continuing to develop a big live-action Wakanda show, which will be different from the forthcoming Eyes of Wakanda. Now, that is interesting, because Winderbaum just said they're not doing an Okoye show. And then here's Schneider saying they're doing some type of a live-action Wakanda show. Interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then also, I love this, Marvel would love to bring back WandaVision's Jack Schaefer. She is fantastic. And she could ultimately return to direct a Young Avengers/Champions project. So I think it's been obvious to anybody who's been watching all these different post-credit scenes where Kate Bishop has been showing up talking to Miss Marvel, and then they're both referring to Cassie Lang. I mean, it is clear that a Young Avengers or Champions project is definitely coming down the road. So interesting to hear him discussing that. And finally, we get again confirmation that Marvel is putting Nova, Terra Incorporated, and Strange Academy on hold because it's shifting priorities, but Schneider said a source has told him that an X Academy series is in the planning stages. Now, that would be really cool. In the comics, Academy X students debuted in the pages of New X-Men number 23, and it was basically yet another incarnation of New Mutants. So now, with the X-Men being a big focus in Phase 7 and beyond, I could totally see them doing this series. All right, so after hearing all of that, you probably see why I'm keeping Vision Quest, or whatever it's called, but as something that will be coming out in spring of 2026. They are definitely working on that, and also why I think we are going to get either Young Avengers or Champions. Probably they're going to call it Champions because it removes any confusion with the Avengers team itself, but I really think that's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen before Secret Wars comes out. They've been setting it up for so long. So what's interesting about this is that would mean 3 TV shows in 2026, which that sounds about right. They're cutting back on those, and so 3 sounds right. And then as of now, only 1 that we're aware of in 2027. All right, so now let's talk about how all that other news leads to these potential future entries. We're probably talking Phase 7 and beyond for all of these. So I'm going to keep Midnight Angels on here because it certainly seems like some type of live-action Wakanda show will be happening. Who knows what it'll be called. They mentioned Hawkeye Season 2, Nova, Blonde Phantom, Strange Academy, Terror Inc., Agatha All Along Season 2, and the X-Men Mutant Academy. So I'm going to guess that any, maybe all of those will be coming in Phase 7 and beyond. Pretty cool. Now, they have mentioned we're getting at least 1 special presentation. These are all the different rumored ones that have been mentioned over time. I would love one on Mephisto. That would be so cool. So my guess, though, had been it's going to be a Doctor Doom one because we need an introduction to Doom. It would be a perfect way to tell us more about him. Well, we may actually now have our answer because Entertainment Weekly has just released information that Jon Bernthal's Punisher will headline a Werewolf by Night style Marvel special like a shotgun blast of a story. Very, very exciting, right? So Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, will officially return after his initial appearance in Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Basically, it's going to be another special presentation in the vein of Werewolf by Night, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, etc. Bernthal is also writing the script, which is awesome, with his We Own This City director, Ronaldo Marcus Green, who will also helm the standalone special. And then, who else but Brad Winderbaum informs us that it's like a shotgun blast of a story, but also has the pathos and emotion that you want out of a Frank Castle story. And I agree with Brad when he finishes by saying it's so exciting. So the bottom line is it looks like we won't be getting a Doctor Doom special presentation and we'll be getting a Punisher special presentation. Very cool. Totally down for that. So this is therefore my guess at the Phase 6 possible slate. Let me know what you think. Do you think I have anything wrong? Do you think anything's missing? I'd love to get your feedback on that. All right, so now let's close things down by briefly talking about the Phase 7 open movie slate. Notice that Marvel has 5 dates that they've announced in 2027 and 2028. So in previous videos, I've guessed that these 5 movies, really in no particular order, but that these 5 movies will fill those slots. X-Men, Thor 5, Shang-Chi 2, some type of Wanda project, and Black Panther 3. The reason I'm picking these is all of them have seemed to be gaining traction over time, and I think they're things we all would really like to see. However, there's a lot of other possible movies. I mean, Blade's got to fit in there somewhere. I hope we get a Midnight Suns. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is obviously a Sony movie, but we're all really excited about that. We're going to be getting more Spider-Man movies. And then we have the bottom row. These are kind of the island of misfit toys, right? Who knows if these are ever going to happen? World War Hulk, I would love to see it. Avengers Forever was actually a rumored third part of the multiverse saga, so Avengers 6, right after Secret Wars. I don't think that's happening. We're not going to get Eternals 2. I don't know about Armor Wars, and I'm still holding out hope for Nomad. That would theoretically be Steve Rogers returning the stones and all of the crazy adventures that happened around that. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. All right, so there you go. What do you think about all these updates to Marvel Television and to the movie slate as well? I'm really excited. I think they have some good plans for how to do Marvel Television going forward, and I'm really excited to see how this all pans out in the years to come. So, don't forget, February contest, be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook, and we have the membership option in case you're interested in that. And I always love to mention the Discord. Here we are talking about all those exciting updates to Marvel Television. So we have 2,000 members across the globe, conversations 24/7, and we would love for you to be part of it, so I will leave a pinned comment so you can join. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, the ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.